All right, welcome to Practical Knowledge Passed Along, brought to you by the MBA Student Association. I'm here with Kyle Freebairn, a second-year marketing MBA. Thanks for being with us today, Kyle.
It's my pleasure.
So we are talking about a very important topic today, which is basically how to tell your story in an interview or when you have an opportunity to get in front of a recruiter. Talk me through why that is so important and how you go about framing that for people who are curious, especially first years.
So the real key thing to keep in mind is this is the first lens that they will view you through. So when they say, tell me about yourself, they're not really saying, tell me about yourself. They're saying, help me frame how I should view you for the next 10 minutes, the next 5 minutes, the next 30 minutes. It really sets the tone of how the rest of the interview is going to go. So it's important to keep that in mind, and keep in mind what do they hope to see when you're saying, well, tell me about yourself. They're looking for a few key things, even though it sounds like a very unassuming and kind of warm up the conversation kind of question.
So is it similar or different to the walk me through your resume question?
So I think it's very similar. The only difference would be in terms of the time difference. So when someone says walk me through your resume or tell me about yourself, for me it's it's not, I grew up here and this is interesting, and so I did my undergrad. This is all things that I'm ready to say. I'm prepared. I know if it's tell me about yourself, I've got a minute to basically walk them through my resume in a very unassuming, interesting way. And walking through the resume, I probably have about 3 minutes. So I just keep that in mind. But really, I hit on the same things. For me personally, it was some key points that I try and hit. I graduated with my degree in psychology, so that helps. Okay, all right, take them along that path. And then when you're going along the path, it's important to hit a few things that keep them interested and say, you know what, this guy addresses needs that I have, my group has, my company has. So understanding those needs before you go in and walk someone through your resume is the difference between a successful experience and an unsuccessful experience. So in the brand world, marketing and most companies are looking for a lot of similar things, but leadership, cross-functionality, working in a team even though people don't report to you, getting things done, analytical skills are very key. So with those three things top of mind.
So what are they again?
So leadership, self-starter, getting things going by yourself. Number two, cross-functionality. So being able to be the hub of the wheel, work with a lot of different groups. They're not your direct reports, but you can get people to buy into what's going on. And then lastly, analytical skills. You got to be able to crunch the numbers, look at things analytically from a business perspective. It's not just all happy marketing games. And so while I'm walking through the story, it's important to touch on a few of those points. So graduate with a degree in psychology. I loved that human aspect of psychology. I graduated when I was 19, which is something that's interesting, and I was just really driven. I just enjoyed school, and it happened to come naturally, so I moved through that really quickly. Then you move to the next, transition. Does it make sense? Are we moving in the right direction? Mm-hmm. So trying to tie, this to this to this then leads to our interview here. Does that make sense? And sometimes it's hard for students, because it's like, I did a degree in something, I didn't want to do it later. What the heck do I do there? I mean, sure. I'm up a creek without a paddle. I think when you're addressing those kind of issues, trying to address continuity or discontinuity, the epiphany is the key there. So for my example, I did a degree in psychology, loved the work, wanted to go into clinical psychology, social psychology. But graduating so early, I was graduating when 19, I went on my mission for 2 years in Taiwan. And that started to change my perspective. Maybe I'd want to go into more of a business-oriented career path. Mm-hmm. So that then leads into, all right, that was the epiphany. Now that helped me jump into an office manager role with an appraisal firm, just cut my teeth in the business world. Then that helped me gain those skills so I could be competitive to apply to a corporate finance position with U.S. Airways. Not the most traditional route to get to corporate finance, but the company was impressed with my academic performance before graduating at 19. They're like, we'll take a chance on this guy, and he's done some good stuff at the appraisal firm.
So at this point, what are they thinking, or what are you helping them to think as you get to this point?
So at this point, it's okay, how does the psychology degree tie into, for me, it's brand management. And also, in between there, how does this finance piece work? And so it's really connecting the dots, which is hard to do sometimes. But if you understand, for me it was, I understood psychology is about people. I'm going to touch on that. Then I went into finance because I wanted to go into business. I enjoyed the quantitative, rigorous analysis that I had to do as a financial analyst and as a strategic forecast analyst. So I mentioned the enjoyment I had just having to go through and do some very rigorous analysis. And that's marketing, you do that all the time. Really important to be able to do that from a business fundamental standpoint. Then on the side, I also started a surfboard import company. Entrepreneurial, just designing surfboards, getting them made in Shenzhen in China, shipping them over, setting up an e-commerce site, getting retailers on board. I liked that cross-functionality. You know, I know, okay, they're looking for leadership as self-starter, so I mentioned, okay, graduated early. They're looking for analytical skills, so I mentioned US Airways, the number crunching that I did. Looking for cross-functionality, well, I had to work with web designers, with digital designers, with supply chain, logistics companies. You know, so touching on, the three things that you need, I just happened to mention in my tell me about yourself thing.
And all of this takes place in how much time?
So, well, it's taken a little longer today, but it should be no longer than 3 minutes.
Sure.
So, and that's why I think it's so important to understand these are the three things they're looking for. This is how I get to where I want to be, and it's like a marketing message. Every word counts. You can't waste time on let's see, what do I do? What does this really lead to? I mean, you got to be prepared with your story and know, okay, so this led to this, led to this, and then the epiphany fills in the gaps. So I love my quantitative, rigorous analysis at US Airways, but I also like the entrepreneurial environment of the products and that cross-functionality. So I thought, how can I combine those two things? Talking to people, brand management, that's what it is. And that helps the person I'm talking to make that connection. That is what it is. And your background, although maybe not at first, it actually all comes together and converges in brand management. Now, it's the same with business to business. So I want to do this. Okay, what things are they looking for, and how do I select those key nuggets of gold in a year's worth of experience that just kind of touch on, I answer your concerns or your problems.
Yeah, so it means doing company research, right?
Yeah.
In order to figure that out for each of the different career paths in marketing.
Right.
And how would you recommend that students do that?
Talking to people really helps add a special touch in the interview. So as much as you can, it's nice to preempt certain questions. So some other questions would be, tell me, if I am, I'll just use P&G as an example. If I'm P&G, I'm probably going to ask, okay, so why P&G? Why marketing? And as you're talking through your story, if you can start to answer those questions, then it just helps put you so you can start answering other questions, start painting a broader picture. Same with this question, or doing the company research. If you can start talking about, I talked to Jim Smith. He works for Nestle, and he said he loves the consumer-driven research that really helps frame, lay the foundation of a strong marketing company. Oh, okay. Well, that's why, it just starts to help fill in the gaps in a very natural way. You don't want to be stiff, and, it's nice to be able to know what the questions are going to ask and say, I know you're going to ask me why Nestle, so I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've done to get here. And it's all about being comfortable, naturally answering questions you're probably going to ask anyway.